Welcome to Two Local Radio. I am your host, Ray Ray.
And I'm Chrissy D.
And really, I'm not feeling well tonight. I actually had chest pains and everything else, probably getting too stressed. But sometimes the show must go on, and this isn't like my other job.
Exactly. This is more of an enjoyment job where we're doing something that we enjoy, that makes us happy. So it's more relaxing. This is our relaxing job.
Wait a second. I love what I do there too, but
yeah.
I just love to do this more.
Yeah, but that job's not not relaxing like this job is. Yes, that job is a nice job. Of course, I'm not insulting the other job, but what I'm saying is this is your relaxing job.
My relaxing job, huh?
Yeah, you sort of tend to relax more when you do this.
Well, I tend to get more into the groove, yeah.
Into the groove, huh? Ooh. Sounds a little kinky there.
Also, please be a little closer, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was taking a drink of my Monster. I need that Monster to give me a little energy.
All right. There we go. It would help if I leveled shit out.
Yeah, it might. Don't you think?
So anyway, I'm going to start the show and I'm going to say this. Sometimes in life, we tend to forget about the little things.
Okay.
We tend to forget about, because we're in the heat of the moment when we get pissed off or whatever it is. And we tend to forget, it's the little things that matter, not just the, big bad explosion.
That's true.
And, sometimes our life is just pressed to the boiling point. And we have to think, not to get so stressed. It's so easy to get stressed over things. It's so easy to get all worked up when you, really care about someone or, you care about, and you think that the life is, going down the drain or, going down the wrong path or whatever. But it tend as, parents, as, people in general, we tend to, how do I say this? We tend to
explode more towards the people we love, tend to be a little meaner, a little more tougher on the people we love.
Yeah, jump the gun without even thinking about the conclusions or think about, the consequences or really what came down to these factors.
And also you got to think about how the other person feels, how you made them feel when you say that particular thing or you do that particular thing, Well,
I'm quick to jump the gun. I mean, but that's where I was raised. That's how I was raised. And, we fight now, we talk later. But that's not going to work on a talk show.
No, it won't work here.
All right, entertainment show, whatever you want to fucking call us. Where you're late.
We're a little bit of everything.
Thank you for cutting me off.
Sorry.
Wow, that's unreal. She finally apologized.
Yeah, right.
Now get on your knees, beat.
Yeah, right, you wish.
All right, so anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that you really can't see the forest, through the trees. Or you can't really see that one tree through the forest if all you're concentrating is on the forest and looking at the whole, prime example of what's going on. Now, people are wondering what's going on. I'm not going to, exploit this situation. What I'm going to say is that it was one of them times where we see what is going on, in a child's life, and it does not turn out anything like we're imagining.
Exactly.
It's not even showing effort. But when you're in a new circumstance, trying to transition into things, it's just like starting a new job. when you start a new job, it takes time to get the hang of things. It takes time to get what's going on. And if you don't understand, you can get lost in the transition very quickly.
Boy, isn't that true? That's very, very true. I know from when I've started new jobs and stuff like that and transitioning through schools, going from grammar school to middle school to high school, it was a little transition there. And it's got to be even difficult for people transitioning from one school in one state to a totally new state.
But at the same time, not trying is not trying. And any way you try to sugarcoat it, I don't care if it's a day, it's still not trying.
Exactly.
And it really makes the ones that do care and the ones that, are there and, at any time to say, hey, I need help, and yet you do nothing, it makes everybody else look like shit.
Exactly.
It just brings out the whole culture of, okay, well, maybe it's not there, like we were saying yesterday, lack of guidance. But if a child does not bring to your attention that they need the help and, that they need the extra time and effort and whatnot, if they don't bring that to your attention and they say, well, hey, everything's fine. No homework. Everything's fine.
I'm doing great in school.
I'm doing great. Well, then you never know. So I guess it does have two sides of a coin. But I tended to mellow out. I was watching this guy. His name's Andrew Main or whatever. The magician. And he really showed things in a different light. He really showed, that it is really the little things that matter. And sometimes we get so wrapped up in other things, such as, cars or TVs or
cell phones or internet or
whatever
it is,
that we just don't see the factors involved in hurting other people involved, and don't see how we're, spending too much time, on a certain thing and not enough time where it needs to be.
Exactly. That's exactly how it is. I mean, like, one of them was, this guy was complaining that, look, we're newlyweds, we've only been married for a few months or whatever, and all my wife does is pay attention to the TV, never to me. And so he basically made the TV explode, catch on fire, to get the point across to this girl. I mean, it was an amazing show, but it really did. It really showed you that, you got to think about how much time you spend on stuff before, you do it. And you got to think about the consequences of the people around you.
And while his methods are unorthodox and some will say fucked up, sometimes that is what it takes to bring out the fire, to bring out the passion, to bring out something, more. It's like we watched one episode where he was talking, about a Facebook picture. It was no big deal. But when it's broadcasted to everybody, it is a big deal. So it kind of gave me a different outlook, saying, well, hey, you're saying, well, this isn't a big deal. But now that you're seeing it, because sometimes they say seeing is believing. Now that you're seeing what the fuck is going on and you're seeing how somebody feels, you may feel differently. And in a way, I do. In a way, I feel that people are violated. People can be violated, with posts on Facebook or whatever, pictures or whatever. But I've told people, when they were on a social media site, hey, and they had their little kid, basically naked.
Yeah, no, that's not right. I never saw why somebody would want to do that. I mean, when my son was young, I never would put him up on the internet or anywhere. I never had any pictures like that of him anywhere. If I wanted to send somebody a picture of of him dressed up or whatever, or maybe in a costume for Halloween, I'd send it to the person, not through some of these media sites. I'd actually physically send it through the mail.
But the thing is, okay, that parent or parents has every right to be upset and to backlash and say, well, these are my kids. Who the fuck are you? You have every right to do that. And that's not what I was trying to, say at the time. What I was trying to say at the time is there's some sick motherfuckers that feed off this shit, believe it or not. And what people don't realize is that when you post pictures up there, if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you can actually post your exact location to these motherfuckers.
Exactly. And then there you go. You're leading the child molester or the kidnapper right to your kid, you know? You've got to think before you do this stuff. Because now, if you lead that person to your house, to your exact address of where you are, they can come steal your kid or molest your child.
Let's step back. You know, I'm not going to say lead, because everybody makes mistakes. Some people don't realize locations are on. Some people, you know, don't realize what the fuck's going on. I mean, personally, the picture shouldn't be up there anyway, but if they choose to, because on that end, you know, they were right. They told me, well, hey, it's not exposing his, you know, area. You know, it's showing all the part. But to a sick bastard, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
To them, it's, wow, I wonder, it leads my eyes to wonder, let's see what else I can uncover. As sick as that may sound, there are people out there like that.
Well, that's the only point I'm making. I'm making it as a mother. As a mother, from one mother to another, you know, that you really just got to be more careful about how you do things when it comes to your child. You know, you're responsible for that child. You brought that child into this world. And that's just all I'm saying, is just you got to be more careful.
But when I said that, it wasn't meant for a fight.
Oh, no.
So if these people were to hear that, they would now know that it was not meant for harm in any way. It was meant to say, hey, while I understand what you're saying, while I get where you're going, the big picture is not everybody's like us. Just because somebody's not on your friends list don't mean they can't see it. I pointed out, I've shown many people how you can look through Google people. So easy, it's not even funny. Whether privacy settings are on, whether they're off, whatever. I'm a graduate of computer school. I think I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. I watched a video. Okay? This was one of the things that was a requirement. We watched this video. This dude looked at his watch. I would say about 10, 15 seconds later, when he was done, he was staring at his watch. He turned around, and his identity was gone.
Oh,
that
wow.
Quick.
Wow.
People don't realize how, you know, crazy technology is. When I used to work for FedEx.
Yeah.
And we had a robbery. We actually had some people that were throwing guns over the friggin', what do you call, over the fence. Big old fence, they were throwing guns. And these are expensive guns. These aren't, you know, $200 guns. These are like $800, $3,000 guns. These are high-tech, like, rifles. Not a joke at all. But after that happened, and after these people got caught, which they did get caught.
I'm glad.
You know, they were escorted out by not only the cops, but also a Marine who happened to work there, which they didn't know. But Marines aren't no joke.
No, they're not.
And they don't give a fuck if there's 10 of you. They don't give a fuck. They're going to take all 10 of you down and don't care. You know, and rightfully so. But when that happened and they installed the new cameras, you would be surprised how close these fucking cameras could get into these trucks. They can see the tiny fucking barcodes on the back of the fucking truck where you think that they can't.
Oh, wow.
They can zoom right into it in like 3 seconds.
Holy cow. So
people don't realize, you know, how much technology has involved and how far these cameras can, you know, go. You know, that's kind of like, not to jump subjects or anything, when we were talking about, you know, when we got to try an Xbox One, The camera is, ultra, concede, a lot, but we're not young 16-year-old or, I'm not even going to say 16-year-old, but, college models. So what the fuck do we got to hide?
Exactly. And we're not young kids playing Xbox One. We're grown adults.
Yeah, and we're not smuggling drugs or talking about drugs, which is stupid to begin with.
Or guns or any other rotten things that you could think of out there. We don't do any of that. We're just normal, average, ordinary people.
You'd be surprised at the people that get caught for being stupid. Okay? People talk about, the camera and the Xbox. Hello. Look at a desktop. There's a camera. Hi. I can point to it right now. Hi. I'm waving to it.
Yep, exactly.
In a laptop, there's a camera.
Yep.
In your cell phone, there's a camera. I mean, I can go on and on. Any fucking device, electronic right now, has probably got a camera on it. I wouldn't be surprised if they have something in your fucking microwaves. Wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't either.
I'm not saying that they do. I'm just saying I wouldn't. People have been tracked for the longest time. It's just when people finally found out that something, then it was a problem.
Exactly. I mean, I know when I was younger, there were kids that were, went to school with me and stuff, and they would say stuff, not even school, but, once, the cell phones started coming out and stuff, more or less, I'd hear people doing the stupidest things, talking about the dumbest things. And I'm like, you're stupid, I'm thinking to myself. And I walk away. I stay away from that person. But
an update to yesterday, as you can see, we're on at 11. We said we'd be on. We're here. I'm not feeling well at all. I'm not going to lie to anybody. I'm not feeling well at all. I wasn't all night. I got too stressed, and I just had to, go down. I'm getting older now. I'm no spring chicken no more.
Exactly. It's time to just... he had to de-stress a little, or a lot, I should say.
And an update to yesterday, because we were mad yesterday to begin with. The bank situation. We've got that cleared up by going to a different bank. They didn't want our business, so we went elsewhere.
Exactly.
Simple as that. They called me back because, they said, well, it could be 3 days before... I had a conversation with someone, with the supervisor, and they're like, well, it could be 3 days before they get back to me, and I put it in the comment form, and I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I want results now. I'm not accepting anything less, and if you can't get it, we're going to bring our business elsewhere. That's exactly what we did. However, they did call me tonight. They did say that we're sorry about what happened and everything, but the financial institutions only allow what they allow, blah, 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 blah. So I told them, so basically you're telling me I can't get a checking account with your bank. So I'm thankful, that you're telling me you can't do jack shit to me. And I'm also grateful that you have people who work there that are conniving fucks.
And incompetent, obviously.
And, it could have been a simple mistake. It could be, me just drawing out the conclusion. It could have been a simple mistake and, at that time just automatically assume that I knew. And, well, if that's the case, that's the case. However, in my eyes, I didn't see it that way, and I wanted results. They didn't give me the results I wanted, so we went somewhere else. And I told them we went somewhere else, and I don't want to hear it.
Exactly. Because we're not going to deal with that. Like we said last night, if you don't like something, don't accept it. Don't be willing to take it. If somebody at your job wants to make you do something that, you don't feel...
is immoral.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do it. If you feel that you say to your boss, well, I need to work Monday through Friday, this time to this time. Okay, that's fine. And then all of a sudden they try to push you to work that weekend. No, don't work that weekend. Don't accept that. That's unacceptable. If you're able to, you're able to. But if you're not, no. Don't let nobody push you around and tell you what to do. Don't accept that crap.
Yeah, no bend over backwards for people when push comes to shove that don't give a fuck about you. Simple as that. You know, the whole thing is it's time to stop accepting things just for the fact of, okay, this is what they're offering. Fuck what you're offering. This is what I want. This is what I've been, told I can have. And now you're going to tell me I can't have it? No, fuck you. I'm going to find it, or I'm going to go somewhere that I get the results that I need and the results that I'm told.
That's right. That's exactly right. Because that's the way it should be. Because if we stopped accepting these little stupid things like that, you know what? Things would be a lot better in life and people would probably be a lot happier. Because, if somebody tells you, well, you could have this done this way. Okay, that's fine. I'll take that because that's the way I wanted it. And then all of a sudden they turn around and say, no, you know what? We're going to change it and we're going to do it this way because this is the way corporate wants us to have it, or this is the way that person wants us to have it. No. That's when you turn around and say, no, that's unacceptable. If we start saying that to more people, guess what? Shit would get a lot better.
And it's just let's start at the local level. I'm not even talking about a national level. You can't, like I said before, or if I haven't, I'm going to say it now. You cannot ride a bike if you've never touched a fucking pedal.
Exactly. You can't. You can't ride a horse if you've never, never even touched a horse. Never been near one. You have to sit on a horse in order to ride it. How are you going to ride it if you've never sat on one?
And here she goes. My story is shit, so she can add her story in. I'm used to this.
That's why he loves me. See? It's just that's the way it is.
So, I mean, the point in the matter is, enough is enough. It's time to fight back, and I'm not talking about fisticuffs. I've done enough of them in my life, and I don't care anymore. I mean, if I had to, if I was back in the corner, I would. But I just don't see the point. It just ends up craziness. But metaphorically speaking, it's time to fight back. It's time to say, no, that's not acceptable. If enough people say, no, that's not acceptable, to these, they have to change. They don't have a choice in the matter. They're going to lose their customer base to somebody else.
Somebody who's willing to give them what they want.
I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm going to tell you a little story about Walmart. My buddy, I'm trying to think of his fucking name.
Give him whatever name.
I think his name was Jacob. I'm not sure. It probably wasn't.
Just call him Jacob.
But my buddy who had, this girlfriend or, whatever, wife or whatever, at the time, this hot redhead, okay? So if he ever hearing this, he knows who I'm talking about. Okay, he told me this story about Walmart, and this was back in the 90s.
Okay.
Or the late 90s, early 2000s. He said the reason Walmart is as popular as they are is because originally when Walmart started, the people, this is how it would work. You'd go into Walmart. The greeter would not only greet you like they do now. They would bring you over to where you needed to go.
That's how it's supposed to be.
And then another person, once they were there, somebody else would take their place, and they'd be the greeter. Okay? But they'd bring you to where you needed to go, to the remote area. And they'd literally introduce you to the stock and the people that knew the general area. And they'd shake your hand and they'd, greet you. From then, they would literally put stuff into your cart that you wanted. And actually wheel the shopping cart over to the cashier. They would introduce themselves, introduce you to the cashier. The cashier would introduce. The cashier would ring up your order nice and politely. And, and help you bag your groceries along with the bagger. The bagger would then not only put things into your cart, they would actually take over your cart, or, if you wanted them to, bring your cart to your car and put your groceries into your car.
Yeah, what happened to that theory? That went out the window.
But that's not the point. The point is that that's what we need. That is what we need, the ones that give a fuck.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying Walmart. We all know how that went.
Yeah.
Now they're a big chain, and half the people there just don't even smile. But the point being is, if enough little stores said, hey, yes, we can't compete with the prices, but hell, we'll provide the best customer service out there, then you would see change. Because people would be like, fuck it, I'll pay the higher prices. Granted, if they could afford it.
Exactly.
And be like, okay, but I'm going to shop here because these people actually give a fuck versus the big place where they don't.
Exactly. I mean, it's like if you took a Target and a Walmart, for instance. I'm just going to use both of them, okay? And let's say you go to Walmart and they greet you. Hi. Fine. Okay. Bye. Now that's Walmart. Not saying this is how it really is in Walmart. It's just an example. Then you go into, let's say, Target, and you get in there. Somebody greets you. Hey, how you doing, Miss So-and-so? What are you looking for today? Oh, I need some baby stuff for a baby shower I'm going to. Okay. Well, I'll take you over, and I'll walk you over to the baby aisle. They take you over the baby aisle. They do exactly what Walmart was supposed to do. Do you know people would probably shop more at Target than Walmart if that was the case? If they just changed the way they think?
What?
Or whatever store.
Well, Target was a bad example because of all the mishaps. Recently.
Exactly.
People don't even trust them anymore.
I know.
So.
I was just using them for an example, but do you know what I'm saying?
I believe
they're both big chains.
I believe I just heard an echo. Maybe it was deja vu. Maybe that's what it was.
It was deja vu.
But, I mean, the point being is that people need to learn how to give a fuck again. That was the problem. Everybody's give a fuck's busted. Well, since they're all busted,
you better fix them.
Somebody better give a fuck, because if nobody gives a fuck, then nobody would give two shits. And if nobody gives two shits, hey, there's not going to be change. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen at the local level. Not going to happen at the national level. It's not going to happen at all. We might as well just all sit around and play fucking Xbox and watch Netflix or PlayStation or whatever.
Exactly.
You know, the whole thing is that, you know, sometimes we get so wrapped up in our busy lifestyles that we just don't see how much things could start to hurt us. We don't see the big picture. We only focus in on the now. The instant satisfaction. The instant gratification. I can do this over here in this amount of time versus spending all this other time, so I have this time to do this. But what ends up happening is you end up in a traffic jam, longer lines, blah, 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 and your shortcut ends up the longer route anyway.
Or it ends up costing you more somehow or some way, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Plus those that say, okay, well, I save a little bit because I shop at all the different stores. Yeah, that's wonderful, but you spend all that gas. Did that not come into the equation somewhere?
Exactly.
So really, you're not saving a damn dime.
No, you're not. You're really not. I mean, it's just crazy.
But, I mean, but it's so... I don't blame anybody because it's so easy to lose track of things. It's so easy to lose track of the whole goal, the whole foundation. It's like I want to personally apologize for the show, you know, and anybody that we could have potentially lost as listeners because we were so selfish in focusing on one thing and forgot why this show was originally fucking created to begin with. It was originally created to begin with so we could, branch out and relate to the little people. And then, we started adding the interviews, and then we focused so much on the fucking sound issues that we were having that our shows began to water down. Our shows began to fucking, weed out, and we were replacing, shows with interviews that sounded like garbage.
Exactly. Yeah,
and it's not the artist that sounded like garbage. It was the sound quality that was coming out.
Right, exactly. Nothing to do with the artists. It had to do with our equipment or whatever.
And, by God, as I stand here, that will never happen again.
No, definitely not.
If we cannot get the interview, well, then we'll do our 2-hour show ourselves. Because it's all about providing an outlet for people. And if you have a scheduled time to provide the outlet, you need to follow through in what you're doing. As long as health-wise you can. If you're in a different kind of job and it's all stressful, then that's understandable. Because no boss wants you to yell at customers, and no boss wants you to pass out and die.
No, of course not. Definitely
because
not.
Then you're not a productive employee because you're not there anymore because you're dead.
Exactly. Or you're in the hospital sick.
Yeah, exactly. So we are, for the last time, we are apologizing. And from this moment on, I felt after watching the Andrew Main and after, looking at other things, I'm like, well, wait a second. What happened to the passion that you started with? You were knocking shit out. Your fan base was growing historically. And then you lost it somewhere because you were too focused on little shit to know that the big picture was people were there because they believed in what you were saying. And they still do. But they believed in where you came from and what you going through because they've done it them damn selves.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's all about.
And while we want to help other people out, when we can, help people out, we will. We had an interview tonight, with a party, an adult party. What do they call them?
Oh, like almost like they call it. I don't know if they call it like a sex party.
Yeah.
It's more like adult, like toys and stuff.
Yeah. But we had to say no. We can't do it at this time until we can get the issue fixed. We're not doing it. If I find a hybrid box somewhere, affordable, then we'll look into that situation at that time. Or if one day I'm just fucking with wires and you figure out the right, solution, then we'll go back to it.
Exactly.
Which we're not putting people on hold. We're just saying we're just not capable at this time to provide that kind of outlet. Not that we won't provide that outlet, but we're going to wait till we can so everybody can benefit from it rather than have a watered down version of it. That won't happen no more.
Exactly. We don't want to start to do a show where we're interviewing somebody and you can't understand what they're saying. All you hear is us talking, and then you might hear nothing. Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah.
Or you hear wah, 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 wah.
And who are they talking to? If you can even hear them. I mean, I appreciate, the fact that record label, gave us a shot. I'm internally grateful. However, that was out of my control. There's nothing, and I mean, if they want to hold it against us or whatever, or, busy, that's on them. Because they got to do their thing and we have to do ours.
Exactly.
And some of these kick-ass interviews just didn't come through. Or they echoed too much. It was just a bunch of bullshit. And I'm not going through that again. I'm not going to do it until we have it. It's better to have it right than have it watered down just to have something.
Exactly. Yeah, we want to give back that kick-ass show that we were doing in the beginning.
Exactly. And that we want to show that we can still do that. Not a problem. I have no doubt, and I've got more fire and passion than ever before. After, doing that, it just ignited something within me that's like, all right, this is it. This is what we're made for. This is why we were designed. This is why we're on the earth, to provide this great fucking show for people to listen to and relate to.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. I mean,
And when we can get back to the interviews, we will find a way to add that into the equation. However, that's not going to be the entire show. It's not. It can't be. Because you're sending mixed messages that says, all right, well, if you got 18 bands that want to, come on, and you're now going to allow all these 18 bands to show their story. That's great. But what about the people that originally came on to listen to us speak and to listen to us, give them hope or just to laugh their balls off?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe they just want to come on. Maybe they just want to listen to our show, talk about something that's funny, or maybe something that's heartfelt, or maybe something about a particular show we saw, or something like that, So
while we're going to help out as many people as we can when we have the power to do so, for right now, we got enough content between us. We have friends that, can come over at any point. And do shows with us. It's not a problem.
Exactly.
We can do interviews that way. We can go to local businesses and say, hey, stop down sometime.
Exactly.
Come down, you sell your product, or, tell people about who you are.
Or tell people about your restaurant, or the product you sell, or whatever it is you offer. If you offer some lawn mowing or whatever the case might be.
Also, I don't want to go into kumbaya, piss at the world, because at the end of the day, we're still about entertainment.
Exactly.
We like to entertain. We like to talk about crazy things. That's why I sing, and I don't have a voice anymore, but I've heard so many comments from people that said, well, that's some funny shit. You suck, but that's some funny shit.
Yeah. That's exactly what it's all about. It's about just making people laugh, Giving them that minute to laugh, especially if you've gone to school or work or whatever the case might be, and you're having a shitty day. Then you come on, you listen to us. You laugh your ass off, and you forget all about your bad day. It's just how it is.
It's like that time where you want to be presentable. You're with a group of your friends, and you want to be presentable, and you want to be, you just fit into something. But then here comes that fart. And it just goes on, and it's constant, and people are like, what the fuck? But at the same time, if you don't let that fart out, it's gonna back up your system, and it's gonna make you feel like shit.
Exactly. You don't want that. So, that's what you've got us for, to just make you laugh and just, hopefully, I don't know, make you forget about that fart.
And either way you look at that, that's just a shitty situation.
Yeah, that is a real shitty situation.
There's no right. That's like stuck between a rock and a hard place.
That's exactly it, too.
So, we like to make people laugh. Fuck it, I really don't have any, interesting stories today.
No, I don't either, I don't think.
There's one time in band camp, I was out doing God knows what with God knows who in some animal.
What? Huh?
What, I can't add some bestiality to the equation?
Ew, that's nasty. He doesn't do that, people. He's just disgusting. He's being a guy.
But
that's what we mean by being funny.
You ever have the time where you're at a club and you're like drunk as fuck? And now I guarantee people think I'm a wash, because every time I say you ever have that time, I mention booze. But really in life, outside of like work, and everything. Once you hit 21, you have that right. Once your fucking life is fucking over as far as work and, you're not, family time is shit, you have that right to go out and drink whenever the fuck you want, as long as you do it responsibly. Well, you don't have to do it responsibly. You could be a dumbass and hit a bunch of fucking other people and fucking go to jail for life, but that's if you choose to do it that way. But the most people will do it responsibly. So if you have a beer or two, it's cool.
Exactly. I mean, we've all done it. We've all, once we hit 21, went to the club or the bar or whatever. That's just part of life.
But the thing that sucks is when you go to the bar or you go to the club and you're just having, a great grand time. You're just having fun there. You're buying drinks. You're buying shots. You don't know if you're fucking you're going to walk home or where the fuck. You ever have that time where you fucking forget where you fucking park your car? That is the most annoying things. And the fucked up thing is when you're not drunk, and I'm going to go back to being drunk in a minute, but when you're not drunk and you just go to a store and you get out of the store and you have this brain freeze and you just cannot find your fucking car.
Oh, yeah. My friend Kim did that one time. We went to the mall. My son was all of maybe a year old, maybe 2. He was little. Anyways, we went to the mall. And we thought, we're going to go shopping. We're going to have a good old time, whatever. We went and we left the mall. We could not find the car. So, yes, I think we've all had those brain fart moments.
It's just like the time when you're busy doing something, you get out of the car, you get to go do what you're going to do. You're going to lock the car. But you already locked the car, and then you decide to lock the keys in the car. Oh, those are some fun fucking moments.
Oh, I think everybody's probably done that, I'm sure. That's just a normal human thing,
What, to lock the keys in the car?
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's done it.
You know what must suck for truck drivers? I want to hear a story one day from a truck driver telling us how they were in the middle of nowhere, and they locked their fucking keys in the truck.
Oh, God, I know. How the hell do you open that?
Because they're on such crunch time to begin with that every fucking minute is fucking critical. Plus, they have all the laws, because we watch Shipping Wars and everything else. They got all kinds of laws. They got to go to the weigh station and everything else.
Oh, I know a guy who's a truck driver, and I never really had asked him. But, yeah, I wonder if anybody's ever done that. I know his younger son is a truck driver also. Next time I catch him on Facebook, I'm going to ask him if he's ever done that.
I'm sure there's many that have. And while it's easy to say, well, yeah, they all carry Jimmys, so they're not going to have that problem. You're not going to carry it all the time. What if you're driving for fucking 16 hours and then you just got to take this wicked shit?
Exactly.
You're not thinking about carrying a fucking Jimmy. You're thinking about, the relief of this shit.
Exactly. Okay, what a way to put it, but yeah.
And that's another shitty situation.
Yeah, I bet that is.
I guess part of our topics tonight should have been called Shitty Situation. Brought to you by Two Loco Radio, which as of March 1st turns into the Two Loco Experience, because to say Two Loco Radio would just be stupid.
Yeah,
on Strip Club Choppers Radio. It just doesn't make fucking sense. How you going to add a radio station into another radio station?
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound right.
Well, I mean, anybody that, that does and joins there, we're not making fun of you. We're just saying for us, it doesn't sound right. Where the experience is like, okay, when people hear this show, it is an experience because they never know what the fuck we're going to say, what we're going to talk about, who we're going to have over, what they're going to be talking to, what guests we're going to have, blah, blah, blah. And I don't like talking about us. But what I do like talking about us. That's a lie.
You lie. Because I love talking about us, too.
I lie like a rug sometimes. But then again, sometimes I don't.
Very true.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. All right.
Oh, God, here he goes again.
So anyway, okay, back to my story. You ever go, you spend all this money, and then you have this money saved and stashed in your wallet. Okay, this extra money stashed, as your emergency money. I'm sure everybody's got a fucking emergency money.
Oh, yeah.
And then you carry one of these fucking chain wallets because you don't trust people because they're fucking pickpocketers and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to your car after you're fucking staggering to begin with.
Yeah.
This is the part I'm supposed to say. This is where you call the taxi. However, I'm not going to say that because when you get to your car, you open up your wallet to call the taxi. Even though you're at your car and you could drive home, you're calling the taxi because that's the right thing to do as I'm rolling my eyes.
Exactly.
Okay? But you open up your wallet and you ain't got no fucking money there. Matter of fact, you don't even have a wallet there. You just have a fucking chain. Because for some reason, these people are so fucking smart nowadays that they not only can pickpocket you, they can cut your chain within fucking 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And take your shit. Which, if you're going to take my shit, that's fine. I mean, I'm not telling anybody to rob me. No one likes to be robbed. But what I'm saying is, if somebody's going to take my shit and take my money, that's fine. However, what the fuck do you need my ID for?
Yeah, exactly.
Why can't you take my money and throw my ID in the fucking lost and found or wherever?
Just throw it on the floor somewhere.
Now I got to fight with people about getting ID because you need to have ID in order to get ID. Otherwise, it's a fucking hassle.
Exactly. And you need ID if you're going to drive your car. How are you going to drive your car if you don't have your license? How are you going to get into public places that you need ID for? If you need to get a social security card, let's say, you need your ID.
2017 won't matter if you don't understand what I'm saying. Anybody that renewed their license, look at it.
Exactly.
But, it really pisses me off that somebody would take somebody's ID. I understand the credit cards. I understand the money. But after having a grand old time, it's kind of like when you walk in a strip club.
Yeah.
And I love strip clubs.
Okay.
Okay. I love the whole idea of them as far as, providing an outlet for, guys or girls or whatever that... otherwise, you never know what situation. Somebody could have had a death in the family, or they provide eye candy for somebody.
Exactly, or somebody that's just lonely and doesn't have anybody. They may just want to go look, or even some guy that's married and just maybe they're having trouble in the marriage and he just needs a little time away from the woman. Or the woman needs time away from the man. You know what I'm saying?
But
eye candy is what they need for stress relief.
But at least at the titty bar, these women are nice enough to leave you with your fucking ID. They may take all your money.
Yep.
Because that's their job. Their job is a fucking eye candy salesperson. Their job is to, if they want to make money anyway.
Yeah.
Try to get as many people as they can to do the dances and to look at them and,
put money in the G-string and all that other stuff.
Exactly. And leave the guy broke. They don't care if he's, broke. I mean, that's not saying they're heartless, but they got to make a living too.
They got to do their job. I mean, that's their job. Then you know what? That's what they got to do.
And if you're stupid enough to believe you're actually going to find, true love in there, which I'm sure that there's been quite a few guys that have, or girls that have, but the majority of people are not going to find true love there.
No.
It's just like if you go into a massage parlor, you're not going to find it there either.
No, definitely not.
But at least they have the common courtesy to leave you with your fucking ID. You may not have any credit cards, you may not have any money, but hey, at least you got your fucking ID. You have a start.
Exactly.
Those people that fucking pickpocket and take your fucking ID. What the fuck are you going to do with somebody else's ID? They have pictures on them.
Idea.
It's not like you can go up to the bar and be like, all right, yeah, I'm a blonde, but I look like a redhead. I used to be a redhead, and yeah, I know I weigh like 200 pounds. but I used to weigh like 97, and I know it says that I'm 6'2", but I took shrinking pills one day, and I'm 5'4". You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I mean, how do you do that? That's just crazy. That's just some crazy stuff. I don't understand that. I don't know. I mean, that's just crazy.
I guess they just don't understand the whole concept of how hard it is sometimes to get fucking ID. Because a lot of times you need ID to get ID. I mean, that's just as simple as that.
It's true. I mean, it really is. To get into a lot of public places, not public places, but like certain like courthouses and certain things like that, you need that ID to get into a bar, to buy cigarettes.
How dare you act like you're going to slap me because I started scratching my nose, which has a cut on it.
Because if you keep picking on it, it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I know.
I have to keep yelling at him about this. Yeah,
I'm never going to learn. So
no, he won't.
They say people should have common sense. I lost my common sense years ago. I think it was beat senseless out of me or something. So
common sense. I don't know if I ever had any. If I did, I don't know what happened to it.
Besides, that just makes life too boring. Sometimes you just gotta have some excitement, take some risks, shit like that. I don't know. It sounded good at the time.
Okay, if you think so, then I guess it sounded good at the time. I don't know.
I mean, would you like everybody to sound like, "Hello, I am Ray Ray, and this is Chrissy D, and you are now listening to Two Loco Radio, soon to be called Two Loco Experience." And we are here to entertain. Doesn't that sound fucking boring or corny or fucking...
That's making me want to yawn. That's putting me to sleep.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like no pizzazz.
I mean, that's just not the way it should be. If you're going to get on and you're going to do a show, you got to make it exciting. You got to make it so the people want to listen. Well, that's what we're here for.
People will listen anyway. They like our shit. If they didn't like our shit,
oh, yeah, but I'm saying, but if we were boring like that, they wouldn't. They would be like, that's boring. We don't listen to that crap. Let's go to another station.
Or they just like the fact that we fucking argue constantly.
That we do.
So, I mean, we bicker back and forth. It's like, shut up already. No, wait a second. Don't shut up. You're fucking funny.
Yeah, I mean, we walked into a bank yesterday, I think it was, and we were bickering at the bank. I mean, that's just our relationship. That's how we are. That's how we've lasted 5 years together, That's just how it is.
And here's pride. On another note, you know that they say drugs are bad, kids. So don't do drugs. But if you were born where your parents did drugs and you have no choice but to come in all fucked up anyway, you're just shit out of luck. I thought that made a good commercial.
That's true. Okay, that's true.
Which, technically, I was born chemically imbalanced, so most things that work for people don't work for me. It's just how it is. It's just what I deal with. It's like I'm a lefty. And I'm going to tell you a story. I was working for this company called Denza. And I was on the line, and this guy, my boss or whatever, demanded for me to, move the battery or whatever the hell I was playing with on the line, and with my right hand.
How the hell did he expect you to do that?
I'm left-handed, but the company is designed right-handed.
That's crazy.
So they figure, well, okay, and I'm not necessarily saying that company. Let me rephrase that. I am not necessarily saying that company nowadays because I'm not there now. And if you don't like that, you can kiss my ass. And you won't get shit from suing because I ain't got a pot to piss in. But...
or a window to throw it out of.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just wasting your time. But... okay. this boss is eminent, and when I mean eminent, on... here's the funny part. Prior to that, I had a contract with them. I was a material handler, so I would go back and get all the materials, and it was overnight, and it sucked, but at the same time, it was a fun job. I come back, because my assignment ended or whatever, and I had a new assignment, and just got the shit out of the ordeal, which I'm sure people have had that. If you ever had a job where you worked for an assignment for them and then came back and did it, we'd love to hear about it.
Exactly. Yes, we would.
It's the same thing, info@twolocalradio.com or twolocalradio@gmail.com, whatever way you want to do it. Or localradionation@hotmail.com.
Exactly,
But, it just sucks because you had a good position. You did nothing to lose your position, but they didn't need you anymore. So they stick you on a totally different position that you just don't like to begin with. I did not like being on that line. I'm left-handed, and I can't do shit with my right hand. I can't do it as fast. I'm sorry, I can't. I don't jerk off enough with my right hand.
Oh, nice, hon. Real nice.
Yeah, I'm left-handed. It is what it is.
That's really disgusting.
But... Well, they say jerking off strengthens your hands and shit. What?
Ew, really? Come on.
Well, I guess you would come on, wouldn't you?
That's nasty. Really? Really? Like, people want to hear about people, especially you jerking off. That's a picture nobody wants in their head.
There might be some hot ladies that want to hear about me, or there might be some dudes that I don't want to know.
Well, alrighty then. That's on you, not on me.
Well, there's some guys that listen to the show because they like hearing your sexy voice. I mean,
thank you.
It is what it is. See, when it comes to you, it's okay.
But I'm not talking
when
about...
it comes to me, it's a totally different...
I'm not talking
she
about...
is redder than a tomato right now. She's like, you did not just say that with your right hand.
Well, you know what? It's not like I'm sitting here saying, oh, well... I don't play with myself, and I do this, and I do that. No, that's disgusting. I don't talk that way.
Last time I checked, we are a mature late
I don't
night.
Care.
Well, of course you don't care, because it...
I don't sit and do that shit. That's nasty.
Because it didn't...
Nobody wants to hear about you jerking off and coming on yourself. That's nasty.
On the next episode, we learn more about Ray jerking off and coming on himself. Not.
Alrighty then.
So, see, I was waiting on this sex party, and what I mean by sex party was that interview.
The lady that was supposed to do her
because I'm sure when I brought that up, she would have been like, "Well, I'm selling this massage oil that was good for that."
Oh, maybe you and your lady want to try this stuff over here and that stuff over. Okay, then.
Yeah, exactly. Which at some point we will get to that interview, like I said before.
Definitely.
But before I lost my train of thought, I was working, for the company, and the crazy thing is, I asked the other managers, okay, is it all right if I, move this part with my left hand because I'm left-handed? They said, yeah, no problem. Okay, I said, I'm quicker this way, right? People want things productive, right? Yeah.
Exactly, that's what I think.
Yeah, that's what they want. No, that's not what he wanted. He wanted to be a dick.
I think he just wanted to fuck with you. That's what it was. He probably figured, I can get rid of this kid and I can put someone else in this position. Somebody I want here. So you know what? I'm going to fuck with him so he leaves.
He didn't like the fact I was a rugged man, if you know what I'm saying. He was 2 shades under the wind.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Oh, you mean the ones my boss would call a yoo-hoo? Oh, he used to crack me up with that shit. Especially when you're in a house painting, and you're painting for the people, And the people that he's talking about happen to come home and are in the house as he's saying that.
Yeah, the ones that if I were to say that's too gay would get offended.
Yeah. I mean, these guys were nice guys and everything. They were cool people we worked for. And, I enjoyed painting the house for these guys because they were funny as hell. Because, after we got done painting and, we were ending our day. And it was so funny because one of the guys came home and he says, Chris, I want you to come over here and I want you to meet this person. Chris, this is so-and-so and so-and-so. And it was just kind of cool because these guys were just like the coolest dudes. So we didn't mind working for them, and painting. They were painting the next one. It came to every little itty-bitty thing. But you know what? It was really an experience. I mean, I enjoyed painting the house for these guys because they were actually wound up being really cool guys.
But really, I don't have anybody, if their sexual preference is dudes.
No.
All right, I don't have any problem with that. And
I've had friends of all different.
But you could tell, and yes, she had friends of all different things and everything.
Sexual preferences, yes.
Okay.
I had friends that were. I had a friend that was a woman that had a girlfriend.
But you can tell he had a vendetta. Notice I just cut you off on that. After you cut me off.
That's okay. I cut
blatantly.
You off all the time.
Okay. So here we are. Okay. He don't like me for some reason. I can't figure out why. I'm being productive. I'm doing as he's taught. I'm as he says and everything. I'm just down to the conclusion of okay, I'm not his way, so he don't like me.
You're straight. That's what it was.
Or maybe because I rub off wrong on people, which I do.
Yeah, you do come across sometimes as a dick.
I come off as an asshole a lot.
But you do.
Okay. But, it was just crazy because everybody else says, okay, yeah, I can do it this way. I start doing it that way. And he turns around and says, no, this is not what I told you. I don't care what other people say. You work for me.
That's a dick.
And I'm like, you know what? I work for you. Okay, I'm going on lunch. Went on lunch. Didn't return. I will not be tolerated. I will not tolerate that.
No, I don't blame you. Why should you?
I've never tolerated that. I've never tolerated the fact of, okay, somebody's going to be that controlling, and go that far. I don't care, your situation or whatever. Somebody's going to be that way and treat you like absolute garbage. You don't have to tolerate it. I don't believe somebody has to tolerate it.
Let me tell you something. I worked a job where one of my friends was a manager. Because one of my friends was a manager and he was gay, I think that he, the owner of the company had a vendetta against him. He didn't like the fact that the guy was gay, but he was the best manager he ever had. So I'm working my job, right? My friend's not there that day. The owner happens to be there. He's a dick, by the way. Anyway, so I'm working. I'm doing what I got to do. And, so I'm talking to a customer, and I say, yeah, my friend so-and-so, I'll call him John. That's not his real name. John is such a good manager. He does such a good job. And the owner comes up to me and goes, he doesn't do a good job. I'll say who does a good job. I turned around, looked at the manager, and said, listen, old man, he does a good job, and don't you ever say anything against him, first of all. I said, second of all, I was speaking to the customer, and I never went back to that job. Because that old man could go stick it. And I told him so. I came in the store after I quit and told him he can go stick it where the sun don't shine. Because you don't treat employees like that. Yet you got employees that sit there and get drunk at work and hide bottles of booze. I mean, me and my friend used to literally find bottles of booze all over the place. It was crazy.
And here's the deal. I seen this commercial. And this is why I'm going to tell this story. Mm-hmm. I don't care what people think about me because of the backstory about it. Okay, I seen this commercial. This lady said, don't say, well, that's too gay.
That's so gay, yeah.
And here's the deal. I used to go to Gotham City out in New Haven, Connecticut on a Sunday. Yes, I know it's Rainbow Night. I did not give a shit. Anytime you can get quarter mixed drinks all fucking night, to me, sounds like a good place.
So what? I've been there. I went there with my gay friend, yeah, and so him and I had a good time.
But I was, with a bunch of people, that, swang a certain way. And, I mean, let's be honest, guys, when you're a fucking single man and you have a chance to go meet fucking hot lesbians, you think you ain't going to take that shit? Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
But here's the deal. I said that in there. And you know what? I said that amongst like 25 dudes and like I think there were like 14 chicks. Where we're all having a party, drinking, and just chilling, like normal fucking people, right? And because they are normal people.
Exactly. Yes, they are.
But I said they were joking around, made a funny joke, but I just didn't find that funny, and I said that's okay.
Right.
And you know what they said? They didn't say what the lady from the commercial said. What they said was, you're right. We are gay. We're proud. We're proud of who we are.
Exactly. I mean, that's just how it is. Let me tell you something.
And they also said, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
They also said, I said, I apologize. I didn't mean to make that comment. And you know what? They also said, look, you didn't like the joke. You responded, you didn't like the joke. It ain't got nothing to do with our sexual preference. It's just got something to do that's the way you say things. And people have to realize people say things different. And you have to, understand where other people are coming from and not just automatically, assume things. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Period.
Exactly. I mean, I've also been to Gotham City. Yes, I went with my gay friend, and we had a good time. And I went to the bar, and I said to the bartender, he said, "Okay, what kind of drink do you want?" And I didn't know what my friend was drinking, and I says, "I want what he drinks." And he's like, "Who?" "Oh, my friend so-and-so." And he said, "Well, who's that?" "That's the guy over there." And my friend pulled me aside, and I had to crack up laughing. God rest the guy's soul. He turned around and said to me, "Do you know that a gay man only knows another gay man by their penis?" And I looked at him and I said, "Excuse me, what?" And that was like something I never heard before. And it was just, I guess that was his joke or his way of kidding around or trying to make me feel comfortable in the situation. When it really didn't bother me because it was just, to me, it was just a bar with a bunch of people just having a good time. I met a lot of interesting people. I met a lady. Was a gentleman. He was dressed up as a woman. And he really looked so much like a woman that I really would not have known if I wasn't standing in a gay bar. I mean, obviously, so I knew he was a man, but I didn't care. And he was the coolest person to sit and talk to. It was fun. We had a good time just sitting there bullshitting.
Some guys would be amazed, absolutely fucking amazed, to see what some of these fucking dudes
do to hide the fact that they're dudes.
Hold on. When they dress like chicks, how good they fucking look to a female. They look like fucking supermodels, some of them.
They look like females.
They look like supermodels, and you're like, if you don't realize you're in that environment and you were just to meet them out every day, you wouldn't know the difference.
No, but even in a gay bar, you really wouldn't know it was a guy. You still would have thought, I really thought it was another lesbian female, is actually what I thought when I met the person, which I didn't give a shit. I was like, to me, it's another person. Hey, how you doing? And then when you heard them talk, obviously you heard their male voice a little, and, then you're like, oh, okay, no big deal. But I told the guy right out, I looked right at him, and I said, do you know that if I didn't hear your voice... And he did a pretty good female voice, but you could still hear a little bit of the rasp from a guy's voice. And I said to him, do you know, I would not have known you were a man. I would have actually thought you were female. He said, really? I said, yeah. He said, thank you.
The funny thing, as you mentioned that, I was in Gotham.
Okay.
And, this chick was hitting on me.
Okay.
This was a dude.
Okay.
But looked exactly like a fucking supermodel chick. Like I said, you don't know the difference. You really can't.
Don't.
And not everyone that you feel down there, not saying that everybody feels down there, but in them kind of places, you never know. Feels like a bulge.
Right.
Some people tuck or whatever the fuck, is the case.
Yeah, they have ways of really tucking that stuff in tight somehow.
But my friends that I, had there that, happened to be their way, but they realize on my way, theirs, that it is what it is. It ain't no fucking difference.
Yeah.
But, after, 10 minutes of, flirting, and I'm not going to say hot and bothered, but I thought it was a female.
Right.
All right. But they pulled me aside and they're like, "Hey, by the way, did you know that's a guy you're talking to?"
Oh, shit.
Just to see the look on my face, all stunned.
You must have been red.
Because he did not sound like a guy. There's some that do not look and do not sound like guys out there.
Oh, yeah. I've talked to cross-dressers, and there's some that sounded like men and had a little bit of a raspy voice, and then there were others. I mean, and they were all beautiful. A lot of them were beautiful and looked like women, but they didn't even sound like a man, and you'd never know.
And the funny thing is, a lot of people would say, well, even though you were that way, that guy / woman or whatever the fuck, at this point, people are like, we don't know what to fucking think of this person. Is he swinging both ways? No, I'm not. Sorry.
No, it was just that person was a cross-dresser, as they put it.
Well, I'm not going to say cross. I think
they have a name for it.
He just felt he was like he was a woman. I mean,
yeah, they call them transvestites, though. No disrespect.
It is what it is. Okay, but anyway, after he said, well, I'm flattered. I am a guy, and I'm going to leave you alone, but it was nice talking to you, and I respect your wishes. So not everybody, the whole thing is people automatically assume just because somebody's that way that they're all fucking making out at fucking McDonald's and, have no respect. That's not the case.
No.
That's not the case in the majority of times, but there are them assholes out there that just like there are them people out there that don't give a fuck if families are sitting there, people are enjoying their meal. Doesn't matter where they're at. They're going to do whatever they want. And I've been that asshole at some point myself when I was younger. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody has. I mean, like I said, also the night I had gone to Gotham City with my friend. I mean, there were things I saw that I was just like sitting there and I was like stunned. My friend had to come by and he had to grab me by the arm and say, "Come on, it's time to go. We got to go over here." Because I actually seen two women almost pretty much going at it on the pool table. And I think I was amazed to see something like that. I'd never seen that anywhere I've gone, any club or anything. I was just amazed. I was like shocked. And it was no disrespect to the people in the bar. It was just something I'd never seen before.
Since we're on this topic, I'm going to share another story. I was seeing this girl. Okay. A really hot girl, really nice. And, I was seeing this girl, and she wanted to go to Gotham City. I said, well, as long as it's on Sunday and I get my quarter mixed drinks, I'm cool with it. Just because I'm at times when I'm a cheapskate.
Yeah. Or you just don't have that extra money to go out and spend.
No, at that time I wanted to spend fucking money on video games and going to concerts and shit, and did not want to spend money like that on booze.
Oh, okay.
So I was being a cheapskate.
You're gonna break your cigarette.
So anyway, I decided to bring my knucklehead friend Tony.
Oh, brother, here we go. My nephew.
With me. Okay, so here's the story. And you're going to laugh your ass off. Because when you hear this, you're going to be like...
yeah, it's crazy knowing him.
So we go out there, and she's out there. She said she was going to bring a girlfriend, but she didn't bring a girlfriend, which fucking... Whatever. But at that time, it fucking sucked because I'll explain. So, anyway. So, I'm talking to my normal, people I talk to and shit. Because as far as I'm concerned, I know these people and I'm, comfortable with them. Not saying I'm going to go back to a hotel and party with them. But at the same time, while I'm there, I'm going to, Yeah,
you don't mind sitting and having a few drinks and bullshitting with the people.
Exactly.
Because they're just that. They're people.
Exactly. No different than anyone else.
No, exactly.
But, okay, so she all of a sudden, claims she's sick. She's not feeling well.
Okay.
This is like half an hour into it. And everything, and it's not from me buying her freaking mixed drinks, because I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I bought her like 2, and then I'm like, you got your own money, right? And she's like, yeah. I mean, and not being cheap, but I'm not trying to, get her drunk and seduce her. I'm just not.
Right.
So anyway. So, no, it wasn't her that claimed she was sick. Tony claimed he was sick. That's what it was.
Okay.
Okay, because we were upstairs and I was having a cigarette, right? In one of the few places at that time where you could actually smoke in a freaking club, which I still think that's the stupidest law ever. If you're in a club or you're in a bar which has alcohol, you should be able to smoke, but I'm going to go, that's another night.
Okay, just finish your story.
Okay. So anyway, Tony's sick. That's what it was.
Okay.
And she's with me, and she wants to, check on, how Tony's feeling. I'm like, it's wonderful. I can see how this is going to go. So anyway, okay, they go downstairs, and then, the minute they go downstairs, there's some hot lesbians freaking kissing each other and feeling each other up and everything else. I'm just letting the audience know. I know you don't give a shit, but...
Go ahead, I don't care.
So I'm watching that for a few minutes. So I'm a little occupied.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go downstairs, and as I'm walking down the stairs, I see them kissing. Seriously, lip locking.
Oh boy.
And you know me, you know how pissed I get.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't strangle him.
I was pissed. But I handled it in the mature way. I embarrassed the shit out of both of them.
How'd you do that?
I caught them, right?
Yeah.
And I said, And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And what the fuck are you doing? I thought you're supposed to be here with me. Why the fuck are you with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, and whatnot. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, he certainly looks sick. And it looks like whatever cold he has, you're going to get, too.
Yep.
Because I just get downright pissed.
I don't blame you.
But instead of, going the violent route, because I just didn't want to get kicked out, because I was drinking my quarter-minute drinks and I didn't want to get kicked out. And I wasn't going to let fucking idiots ruin my fucking night.
Exactly.
So, because he had no money and I was his ride home, he had to, follow me. So she followed as well. Everywhere we went, I stopped people and I said, hey, Joe, hey, Mike, how's it going? That's going well, Ray. How are you? I said, I'm fine, but can I ask you a question? They're like, what's that? I said, you ever come together and whatnot and come with one of your friends and then one of them claims that they're, and then you claim that your friend claims that they're sick, and then the girl, or, in your case, the guy, that you're with decides, well, they're going to go check on the other person, and when they do, you catch them lip locking. What do? I must have did that to 50 fucking people.
Good, they deserved it.
They were embarrassed as shit. If you've never seen Tony fucking humiliated, his face looked
beat red.
Beat red, and he's like, Ray, stop it already. No, I'm not going to. Let's go ask somebody else.
Yep, you're lucky he's not beating your ass, kid. That's what you're lucky.
So, but that was a story I wanted to share. I mean, things are fucking, goofy and shit sometimes. But the moral of that story is if you catch somebody with somebody else at a fucking club, don't let that fucking ruin your night. Don't fucking go running home. Drink your fucking liquor and party it up.
Yeah, and enjoy yourself.
Enjoy, because that's why you came to enjoy yourself.
You know what? That's when you turn around and you look at the two assholes and you say, you know what, ass and hole, you two belong together. See ya. Have a good night. And walk away. Go have your drink. Fuck them. You don't need them.
Yeah, exactly. But that was the point I was, trying to make.
But I think I like the way you did it because I think that's funny as hell. I would humiliate the shit out of them too, as well, if I was you in your situation, because, I would still humiliate them, as well as just be like, okay, well, the two of you can have each other, bye. But I'd still humiliate you. But I'd make you feel like shit, yes.
But the reason I did it was because they said, well, it wasn't meant. It just so happened.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
It just so happened.
Yeah, you fell into his lips or he fell into your lips. Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to risk getting sick.
Yeah, okay, sure. And the dude isn't even that good looking. I'm sorry. He's really not.
He's a decent dude. I mean, he's still my friend. I mean,
he's not that good looking. I'm just kidding.
He does.
No, he's a really good dude. As much as I'm picking on him.
He does dumb shit. I do dumb shit, so I really can't fault him for dumb shit, because I do dumb shit.
Well, see, I could pick on him because he's my nephew, and I've always picked on him. So, but I mean no harm to him, because he's a good person. He really is. All
right, but this isn't about the,
Idiots.
Sorry to fucking, it was about my story.
Your story was funny.
Do you have any stories you'd like to share before we get out of here? And don't just say no just to say fucking no.
No, basically just that one story about going to Gotham City. I mean, I only went that one time, and that was about it. I never, unfortunately, got to go back, and it was, like I said, I did have a lot of fun, and I did, talk to some interesting people and stuff like that. I mean...
Well, I mean, I went to quite a few, and I went to Gotham City for the drinks, and I went to this other place called Partners, because I had this friend, her name was Carly.
Mm-hmm.
She was a lesbian. She was just a straight up lesbian. I was never getting with her, but she was hot and I wanted to get with her type thing.
Yeah, but it was never happening, unfortunately.
Of course it's not going to happen. Guys that think that lesbian, unless they're actually bi, if they're straight up lesbian, they're not getting with you. They have no interest.
No.
You have a penis, they don't
want to know you.
Yeah. The person they want doesn't, and that's the end of the story. But she was cool as hell.
Okay, that's cool.
And she introduced me to a lot of people that were both, straight and, bi and all this happy shit.
Right. I have friends that are, like I said, I've had friends that were gay, that were straight, that were lesbian. I met all different kinds of people and just never bothered me. Because to me, it was, hey, you know what? If you choose to do that, that's fine. Like I told one of my friends, they said, "Oh well, because I'm over here. You're over here at my house, and you're visiting because I was there visiting her child, and she was sitting there, and she had her friend there, and I said, well, you two obviously like each other, and you're gay. Why don't you just admit it?" She said, no, I'm not. Finally, I got him to admit it, and I just said to him, I turned around and looked at him, I said, I don't give a shit. Just don't be hitting on me. Hey, I ain't got a problem with it.
Exactly.
That's just how it is.
Exactly. I knew this dude, Chris, one time, he said, you know what, Ray, you're an awesome dude, but I'm not your type. It was funny as hell. And he was like as pro as you can go. I'm happy who I am, and if you don't like it, kiss my ass type shit.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. But the point I'm trying to make, and the point I was trying to make before about the commercial, was it's propaganda, and it's the fucking people that instigate that make shit fucking worse than it actually is.
Exactly.
It's the people that fucking instigate. My buddy will tell you, my buddy Sean Green, that was on the other night. He will tell you. People make racial words worse than they actually are.
Yep.
People make comments worse than they actually are. It depends on who you're hanging out with, what you're talking about at the time, and if it's in, good taste.
Exactly. Like, I sat and talked to one of my neighbors where I used to live. Now, I lived in an area that was mostly, they had a lot of blacks. And I asked a black man, I said, how come black kids, guys, girls, whatever, walk up and go, yo, nigga, what's up? I said, now, aren't they calling each other by the N-word, which is racial? And he said, no, it's a difference of the way they say it and how they say it. And I never knew that. So I was like, oh, okay. Of course, I don't go around saying that word. But, I mean, it was just a word. It's just a word. And people make such a big deal about it. It's just a word. It's like if somebody comes up to me, yo, white girl, what's up? Hey, how's it going? I don't give a shit. It's just a word. You want to walk up and call me a cracker? Okay, go ahead. You want to call me a cracker? That excites your day? Okay.
And if somebody calls me a racial word or anybody a racial word, they have every right to say a racial word back.
Exactly.
Because you just called me something. I have that right to call you that back.
Exactly. Well, that's why I use that word that I used. It basically amongst from one black person to another, because obviously a white person can't walk up and just call somebody that. It means hey, my buddy, or hey, my friend, or whatever. But I mean, and people make such a big deal about it. Well, you said that word. Oh my God. And it's not the point. It's just.
I said the other night, somebody could say toilet paper. And somebody would be like, oh my God, he said toilet paper.
I know, really. Oh my God, she called him a toilet paper. Oh my God, that's racial. That's so racial.
Or that's hateful. Or, exactly. Just because tomorrow toilet paper means fucking asshole.
Exactly.
Because the slang changes every day in all, nationalities and all colors and all, crafts. One ain't better than another. However, I'm not going to disregard your beliefs. If you feel one is better than the other, well, then you have that right to feel that way.
Exactly.
I'm not saying, tell everybody else to follow that and everything, but I'm not going to say, well, hey, because you say it, that you're wrong. Because I've hung out with people that were racial white, and I've hung out with people that were racial black, believe it or not.
Exactly.
But just happened to like me. I guess I was a token white guy.
I mean, yeah, like I've said, I grew up in an all-white neighborhood. That's just how I grew up. That's how it was, the 70s and the 80s. I grew up in Connecticut, in the part of Connecticut I grew up in that happened to be what was mostly predominant in that area was whites. And then, of course, as the years passed by, black families started being able to move into the area, and we started to have a little more, blacks and whites and Spanish and this and that. So I grew up to know a little bit more. But, I mean, that's just how it is.
It's just
I've always gotten along with everybody. I like everybody. I don't care what color you are.
It's just like, with, high-powered people. And what I mean by high-powered people, like people that run shit. I don't care if the dude's white. I don't care if he's black, if he's, Spanish, if he's Mexican, if he's Jamaican, if he's Hawaiian. It doesn't fucking matter to me. What matters to me is if the guy's a fucking, or woman, if the person is a fucking idiot, they're a fucking idiot. Exactly. And if they're good people, they're good people. Their color has nothing to do with the fact of their actions. If they show me that they ain't doing jack shit, then they haven't done jack shit.
Exactly. I've met different people. Like I said, where I lived was predominantly, a lot of it was black. And the people were cool. And then there was white people, and then there was Jamaicans. And I had friends that were Jamaican. I had friends that were black. I met people from Haiti, from all different countries and all different places, and it was actually kind of cool to know different people. I also had a friend who was Arabic, but she was from Jerusalem, but she was Arabic at the same time, and she was just as cool. And it was just as fun to learn about the different cultures and the different people and the different beliefs, just to talk to somebody else from a different country a different place. Who cares where they're from?
Yeah, I have.
Or what color their skin is. So what?
I have friends that are Mexican American.
So do I.
Or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, of course you do. You know, that I could, talk about Taco Bell. And they're not going to get offended because it's me. If it were somebody else they didn't know and it was deliberate, that was fine. It's just like they ran into a story of, where their shit was stolen.
Yep.
And regardless of the color or the nationality of the people that fucking stole it, the fact that somebody would go on your lawn and steal something is what pisses them off. Nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, how do you go onto somebody's porch or lawn or whatever it is and take something that belongs to somebody? I mean, and the stupidest of things, too. I mean, that to somebody might not mean that much, but to them it means a lot because they worked hard to buy those items or to have them items and have them stolen. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's like when we moved to Jacksonville and shit. And the movers, fucked up my TV. To a normal person, they'd be like, okay, that's just a $300 TV. That's no fucking big deal. To me, it was the end of the world. The reason it was the end of the world is because that was a very rare, special fucking TV. It was out of the warehouse at the time. It was a different model than what most people fucking have.
And they don't make them anymore.
The value of it, the fact that you could get it cheap, but at the same time, have all these options to me was fantastic. I called around every fucking Walmart in the fucking area for about fucking 2 hours till I found one. I was determined to find one. I found one, and then I drove an hour one way into the fucking...
to the Walmart, and then...
Yeah,
through the fog. Yep.
Yeah, through the fog, exactly.
And then an hour back home to get home to enjoy this TV. And, we had it for a long time. We took good care of it. We, made sure we didn't,
And I only had 2 fucking things on the truck, and one of them was stolen, and the other one was fucked up.
And the sad part about it was that the people that lived upstairs from us told us, well, hey, you know what? I saw the movers that were in that moving truck that kicked that TV.
And they didn't give a fuck.
Nope. And if I had seen that guy, I would have kicked him in the head because I was pissed.
Trust me, if they told me earlier, there would have been hell because you don't go around, you don't kick my TV that I spent all this fucking time and effort to go get. To me, that's disrespect, and I don't give a fuck who you are, who you know, who they know. And there's the old me. I need to calm down.
Yep, relax. It's not worth it. It's done and over with.
But on that note, see you. Wouldn't want to be you.
God bless.
Join us tomorrow at 11 p.m. We will be on. Peace.